buzzing in here inside the exchange, and for good reason. It's good to be back home for the Winnipeg Jets, who garnered 7 out of a possible 12 points on their longest road trip of the season. Good evening, I'm Jamie Thomas. This is the JetsTV Live pregame show. The Chicago Blackhawks paying a visit as the Jets kick off a 6-game homestand. Coming up, we will sort through the Winnipeg Jets injury list. It is long and extensive. Mitchell Clinton will go over that. Brandon Tanev returned to the Jets lineup on that road trip. We'll go one-on-one with him, and Mark Lazarus, the Chicago Sun-Times, will stop by the studio as well. But first, one of the walking wounded that could be back tonight is Jets defenseman Jacob Trouba, who's arguably playing his best hockey of the season when he went down in Anaheim. Here is head coach Paul Maurice.
What goes into the decision, or how do you look at leading into game time tonight, whether Jake plays or not?
Well, if my car doesn't blow up when I start it, I'll take that as a positive. He's very interested in playing tonight. He's all signed off on by everybody. It was an ankle sprain, so he's done the, they call it tweaks that you go through when you come back. He's had those, he's survived them. His agent's on board. Everybody wants to see Jake play tonight. I'm a little bit sensitive, a little bit like I've had a bit of a sunburn here. I'm a little careful about walking out into the sunlight again. So, but there's no reason why he wouldn't play. I just wanted him to get through the morning skate and see how he is, but I'll make that decision at game time tonight.
I feel good. That's going to be decided later, I guess, if I'm ready to go. We'll see how it feels later today and go from there, I guess. It's not easy watching, but I think we've done an excellent job filling a lot of injury holes that we've had, and we've managed, which is a sign of a good team and good depth. Yeah, I'm excited to get back and just not really focus on anything exact, play a simple game, and just go out and play how I play.
I think our effort's been outstanding. Whether or not that's good enough is going to depend on the night. Wasn't good enough in Nashville, but about as proud of our group as I've been all year. The way we held that thing together. Seen that game at home a lot, and that turns into a 6-1, 7-1, 8-1 game. So we held it together and gave ourselves a chance to win a game. That's really all you can ask for.
For us coming home now, 6 games, it's a big chance for us to do some damage, and we're playing some tough teams, all the way through this homestand. So it's going to be a lot of good battles, and a good precursor here for the last 10 games. It's going to be tough hockey, and that's what we want to play.
Jets coming to this one having lost 3 in a row, including a 3-1 setback at the hand of the Nashville Predators on Tuesday. Mitchell Clinton, Jets TV reporter, joins us now. The impressive part of that game is they go down 3-0 in the opening 10 minutes. They're down their top 4 centermen, 2 defensemen, and they lost their goaltender. What does it say about this team, the way they played to close out that hockey game?
A lot, I think. Obviously, Blake Wheeler talked about this morning, that has the makings of, well, essentially Nashville did exactly what Winnipeg does to teams on back half of back-to-backs here in Winnipeg. You jump on them early, and then that's exactly what Nashville did in the first 8 minutes, 50 seconds or so in that game. And then, of course, the Jets lose Paul Stastny in warm-up, so that's another center gone. And then Michael Hutchinson, after that third goal, leaves the game with an upper body injury that we now find out was diagnosed as a concussion. So obviously a lot of adversity thrown their way. Sean Mathias gets the tap to go in. He didn't even warm up, and he hadn't played since January 12th, oddly enough, against the Chicago Blackhawks. So obviously there's a lot of adversity there, but Blake Wheeler liked how they responded to being down 3-0. They outshot Nashville 27-21 in the final 2 periods. Sure, score effects might have a little bit to do with that, but still, it's something to definitely build on. And of course, anytime you can outscore Nashville 1-0 in the final 2 periods in their own building, you'll take that. So a lot of positives to build on.
Some more positive twos in terms of bodies come back. We've already touched on Jacob Trouba, but I'm going to go down the list and you update Jets fans on what's next. So let's start with Paul Stastny.
Paul Stastny in tonight, only missing the 1 game. He's good to go.
Mark Scheifele and Adam Lowry.
Yeah, they'll take contact. Off day for the Jets tomorrow. They'll take contact on Saturday, and then a decision will be made on their return date, but it could be Sunday.
Hutchinson,
concussion. Obviously, can't put a timeline on those, so he joins Steve Mason on the sidelines as goaltenders with injuries.
Matt Hendricks.
6 to 8 weeks with a lower body injury. Obviously, he left the game against the Washington Capitals, so he'll be out of the lineup for a while, but a guy that's as vocal as him, he'll be around trying to get the guys going every day.
Another one of the guys that was hurt on the road trip is Dmitry Kulikov. Kind of some mystery surrounding him. What's the deal with him?
Well, inflammation basically is the situation. They're waiting for that to go down, so it might be a couple of days before we have any sort of update on Dmitry Kulikov and the severity of his injury. So basically Maurice wants to wait for that to go down before they can get a clearer idea of the injury he does have.
One last one in case somebody, outside of somebody getting hurt in the way of the ring tonight, Toby Enstrom.
Yeah, Toby Enstrom is basically essentially almost ready to go, but head coach Paul Maurice kind of admitting that he's being a little bit stubborn about putting Enstrom back in. He played against the New Jersey Devils, but then has been out the last 3 games as well. So for Maurice's side of things, I imagine when Enstrom goes back in, Maurice wants him to stay in.
And last but not least, because of the injuries to Michael Hutchinson, who has a concussion, that's the 4th concussion sustained by Hutchinson and Steve Mason this year combined. Eric Comrie was called up yesterday from the Manitoba Moose. How does he fit in for the hockey club over the last 12 games?
Yeah, 12 games to go, and head coach Paul Maurice kind of said the magic number is 3. He'd like to see him get in 3 games. So looking ahead at the schedule, the last road trip of the season is a 4-gamer, and I believe it ends with Ottawa and Montreal on back-to-back nights. So anytime there's a back-to-back night, most often you can kind of circle one of those as a potential spot for Eric Comrie to go in. Outside of that, it's going to be interesting to see where they fit in, but Maurice said it's going to be a conversation between him and Connor Hellebuyck, and just to monitor Hellebuyck's energy level, make sure he's not fatigued going into the end of the regular season.
We spent a lot of time talking about the guys that are out of the lineup. Somebody that did come back in the lineup is Brandon Tanev. Good stuff as always, Mitchell Clinton. Brandon Tanev spoke with him this morning in the locker room. Nice to be back home, I assume, but let's look back at the road trip quickly. 7 out of a possible 12 points. How happy you with that result?
Yeah, it's a good road trip. Look at the standings. We're in a good position. Unfortunately, we didn't want to close that road trip the way we did, but you move on. You come back home here where we've been good, and look forward to playing tonight.
How strange has it been? I mean, I know you've been on the lineup, but you get 10 games at home. You go on a long road trip. It's been bouncing back and forth. How challenging has the schedule been for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the league. You know, there's going to be travel, and not too many teams are close to us. And luckily, we have swings where we go on quite a bit of a road trip on the East Coast to the West Coast. So that's nice. But I mean, this team's very resilient. We got a lot of depth in this team, so things are going well, and our leadership's doing a good job of keeping us on the right path here.
I guess it's kind of been understated as the depth and maybe the leadership. How good has the leadership been this year, considering how the ups and downs with all the injuries this team has had?
It's been awesome. Right from our captain, Blake's been great in the locker room, and stems down from the older guys who've been in the league for a while, kind of pushing that path onto the younger guys. And I think everyone in this room does a great job of leading in their own way.
How about yourself? Are you feeling close to where you want to be heading into the postseason? Don't want to use that word too early, but are you feeling good?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come back from injury, you kind of just get yourself back into the swing of things, get your legs back, your timing. But I feel good. My line mates, my teammates are making it easy for me, and that's half the battle.
Spoke with your college coach, Coach Lehman, the other day. He had nothing but great things to say about you. How often do you keep in contact with him?
Yeah, whenever we can. He's got a busy schedule. Right now, we've had a busy schedule too. So whenever we can keep in touch, it's great to hear from him and checking back on the other guys back at school.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mark Lazarus, the Chicago Sun-Times, our guest now here in the JetsTV Live pregame show. It's almost like bizarro world to actually comprehend the fact that Chicago Blackhawks might not make the playoffs this year.
There's no might.
They're not going to make it. Jonathan Toews didn't want to talk about it, but at the same time,
they're not going to.
No, he didn't. And we're going to play that for everybody back home. So, just how is this team going to deal with this down the stretch here?
Well, I mean, I was talking to Patrick Kane after Jonathan Toews kind of didn't want to answer my question, and Kane's been the one clinging the most. Hey, we can go on a run. We can go on a run. Obviously, they could win their last 12 games. They're still not making the playoffs. But Kane said what's important now is there's so many young guys on this team that what's important down the stretch here is making sure there's some kind of a winning culture here. Because you never think you have to worry about that with the Blackhawks. But only a handful of these guys have been on those Cup teams. Right. Most of these guys are young, new guys that haven't experienced that. So you need them to go out of the season on a high note, feeling good about themselves, knowing that it's not okay to just play out the string here, and that's kind of their motivation right now.
When things go bad the way they have, people start pointing fingers, and they start pointing fingers first at the star players. And I'm going to go with the captain, Jonathan Toews, not producing the way he has in years past. Is the negative focus, well-founded?
Jonathan Toews has not been the problem this year. He like just about everybody else, you can even say this about Patrick Kane, who's still been very good this year, has not been up to his own standards. But he has not been a problem. You look at his underlying analytics, he's had a very good season. He's bounced back significantly from 2 down seasons the last 2 years. Right. Puck's just not going in. And frankly, he's still going to wind up with a low 20s in goals. He's having his best month now, actually. I think he's already got 9 points in March. he's still a terrific two-way guy. He's still their shutdown guy. He's still the only guy in the team that can win face-offs. He still kills penalties really well. I mean, Jonathan Toews is not the problem. He might not be playing like a $10.5 million player right now, but he is not the problem. There are much more significant issues on this team than Jonathan Toews.
What would that be then?
Well, Corey Crawford's injured for one thing.
Yeah.
When Corey Crawford got hurt, the Blackhawks were in a playoff spot. You take a .929 save percentage and you drop it down to like .905, which is around what the Hawks have been getting. There's 15 points in the standings right there. Yeah. Corey Crawford masked a lot of problems for this team. He did it last year. They won 50 games, and we saw in the playoffs that was kind of an illusion because they got swept by Nashville. So Crawford's injury is the biggest thing. The blue line is the biggest problem. You've got basically Duncan Keith, who's not playing at his level either, as we talked about the Stars. But you also got basically everyone else on the team is a third-pairing guy. You don't have a number two. You don't have a shutdown pair. They're changing the pairings almost every other game, trying to find those right combinations. So there's a lot of issues that go beyond just, Jonathan Toews is not being a 30-goal guy.
You mentioned Corey Crawford. He was the one in net 3 months ago to this date, December 15th. The Hawks won 5-1 here at Bell MTS Place. Might have been their finest effort of the year. What have they liked about their game against the Winnipeg Jets the 2 times they played them this year?
Well, it's funny because I hear about that game a lot. Like they always say when things are bad, you go back to that Winnipeg game. We played really well against a good team, and that just shows you the balance of power has shifted so dramatically. Can you imagine? No offense to you Jets fans out there, but in the last few years, could you have imagined the Blackhawks clinging to a 3-month-old victory over the Jets as a sign that we are a good team? I promise. Yeah. I mean, it's a sign of just how things have shifted. You look at this division right now. Nashville is set up for success long term. Winnipeg is set up for success long term. Even if the Blackhawks do bounce back next year, which they can. Man, the Central Division, they're not going to be a dominant team anymore because there's too many good teams in the Central. Colorado, Dallas, these teams aren't going anywhere.
Really appreciate the time as always, Mark. You're a friend of the show now because you've been here twice, so you're the first 2-time guy outside of Mitchell Clinton, JetsTV reporter. So as always, yes, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mark Lazarus, let's hear from the Chicago Blackhawks. We spoke with them earlier today.
I think for us, it's you have pride as a team, and you know what you're capable of as a team, even if you've underachieved or you haven't had the success you've been looking for in the last couple of months. Tests like this against the Jets are obviously a big one for us. I think we played well last time we were in this building, and we want to have a similar effort. And we got a lot of skill. A lot of guys have been playing well, so we don't want to give them an easy game. Just let them do what they want to do. We obviously have to go out there and make them work for it.
We played probably our best game when we were in here last. I think we kind of played our best game of the season. They just make you bring that extra work ethic. I mean, they're a hardworking team, and if you're not focused, they're going to put up 7-8 goals against you. So I think that alone brings a sense of urgency against this team.
Coming off a pretty good game against Boston at home, and down the stretch here, we want to get a little bit of feel for basically having a 4-line rotation, see how some of the younger guys are doing. But we had a real good game in here earlier on in the year, and did a lot of good things that night, and that'd be something to think back, and if we can duplicate that type of an effort, that'd be an excellent night for us.
Of course, the Jets have 3 more battles with the Chicago Blackhawks, including tonight. They've lost the first 2 meetings in this season series so far. Huge shout out now to Winnipeg Jets prospect C.J. Cease, who was named as a finalist for the Hobie Baker Award in the United States. It was announced today also that Cease is the 2017-18 Western Collegiate Hockey Association Player of the Year, a 2014 NHL draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets. That was a 5th round, 129th overall selection. Cease currently ranks 2nd in the nation with 509 faceoff wins, tied for 10th in goals, and tied for 12th in points. So again, huge shout out to him. Before we go, a reminder, Jets pass holders tune into JetsTV Live post-game show to earn 50 Jets reward points by entering today's promo bonus code. We'll have that for you right at the start of the post-game show. That'll do it for us. On behalf of Mitchell Clinton, Mark Lazarus, I'm Jamie Thomas. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you afterwards for the JetsTV Live post-game show. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Dreams will burn inside us like a fire, like a fire.